Hello friends. Today we are going to show you the most popular US tanks used in World War II. LVTA-1. LVT means Landing Vehicle Track, introduced by the United States Navy. It is an amphibious warfare vehicle and amphibious landing craft. The United States Marine Corps, United States Army, and Canadian and British armies used several LVT models during World War II. The LVT had its origins in a civilian rescue vehicle called the Alligator. Developed by Donald Roebling in 1935, the Alligator was intended to operate in swampy areas, inaccessible to both traditional cars and boats. LVTA-1 is the first infantry support LVT. With the first experience of Pacific amphibious operations, it was clear heavier firepower than the usual .50 in guns was needed. Based on the LVT-2, a standing for armored, this fire support version had an armored 6 to 12 mm hull. It was fitted with a turret nearly identical to that of the light tank M3, with a 37 mm gun M6 and an M44 mount, and also carried two rear-mounted machine guns. 509 units were produced. The vehicle's hull was covered in 6 to 12 mm of armor plate, and the vehicle was powered by a 262 bhp, 195 kilowatts, air-cooled petrol engine. Despite the limitations imposed by the turret, it could still carry a limited payload of 1,000 pounds, 450 kilograms, of cargo, and had a quite respectable speed of 25 miles per hour, 40 kilometers per hour, on land, and 6.5 miles per hour, 10.5 kilometers per hour, in water, and an operational range of 125 miles, 200 kilometers, on land or 75 miles, 120 kilometers, in water. This is a brief specification of LVTA-1. M4 Sherman. The M4 Sherman, officially medium tank M4, was the most widely used medium tank by the United States and Western Allies in World War II. The M4 Sherman proved to be reliable, relatively cheap to produce, and available in great numbers. Thousands were distributed through the Lend-Lease program to the British Commonwealth and Soviet Union. The tank was named by the British for the American Civil War General William Tecumseh Sherman. With a crew of 5, the Sherman weighed over 66,000 pounds, was 19 feet, 4 inches long, 8 feet, 7 inches wide, and 9 feet high. It had a range of 100 miles, armor of .59 to .99 inches thick, and a single 75 mm turret gun, plus one coaxial 7.62 mm machine gun, and a .50 caliber machine gun on the turret. The power plant consisted of twin General Motors 6 to 71 diesel engines that developed 620 horsepower. Its maximum road speed was 42 miles per hour, and it could ford a stream 3 feet deep, mount a vertical obstacle 2 feet high, or cross a trench 7 feet, 5 inches wide. This is a brief specification of M4. M13 Multiple Gun Motor Carriage. The M13 Multiple Gun Motor Carriage, MGMC, otherwise known as the M13 half-track, was a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun used by the U.S. Army during World War II that was armed with 2.50 caliber M2HB heavy-barrel Browning machine guns. Developed in response to a requirement for a mobile anti-aircraft AA vehicle, the vehicle was produced by the White Motor Company between July 1942 and May 1943. The only time it was ever used in combat was when the Americans landed at Anzio in January 1944. It was replaced by the more heavily armed M16 multiple gun motor carriage in April 1944. The M13 evolved from a series of several unsuccessful prototypes that were trialed from 1940 to 1942. Of these, the T1E4 was selected and given the official name of the M13 MGMC before being placed into production. Half of the M13s produced were converted into M16s on the production lines. The M13 half-track was 21 feet 4 inches, 6.50 meters long, 7 feet 1 inch, 2.16 meters wide and 7 feet 8 inches, 2.34 meters high, with a wheelbase of 135.5 inches, 3.44 meters. Had bogie suspension for the wheels and vertical volute springs for the tracks. It had a 60 US gal, 50 imp gal, 230 liters fuel capacity, and a range of 175 miles, 282 kilometers. The vehicle was powered by a 6-cylinder White 160AX, 128 horsepower, 95 kilowatts, 386 cubic inches, 6,325 cc gasoline engine. The vehicle was armed with two 0.5-inch M2 Browning heavy machine guns placed on an M33 Maxim mount. The2 machine guns were fired remotely and powered by a small electrical motor near the back of the turret. The guns were aimed with a Mark 9 reflector sight. Each vehicle had a crew of 5, commander, driver, gunner, and 2 ammunition loaders. This is a brief specification of M13 multiple gun motor carriage. M3 Stuart. The M3 Stuart, officially light tank M3, was an American light tank of World War II. An improved version entered service as M5. It was supplied to British and other Commonwealth forces under Lend-Lease prior to the entry of the US into the war. Thereafter, it was used by US and Allied forces until the end of the war. Stuarts were the first American crewed tanks in World War II to engage the enemy in tank versus tank combat. From the end of 1941 to the beginning of 1942, a lack of standard gas-powered Continental aircraft engines forced some tanks to be outfitted with 265 horsepower Guyberson T1024 diesel-powered 9-cylinder air-cooled radial engines capable of reaching 2,250 RPM. The M3 was initially armed with a 37mm M5 gun and 5.3006 Browning M1919A4 machine guns. Coaxial with the gun, on top of the turret in an M20 anti-aircraft mount, in a ball mount in right bow, and in the right and left hull sponsons. For a light tank, the Stuart was fairly heavily armored. It had 38mm of armor on the upper front hull, 44mm on the lower front hull, 51mm on the gun mantlet, 38mm on the turret sides, 25mm on the hull sides, and 25mm on the hull rear. This is a brief specification of M3 Stuart. Thanks for watching Toobles. Stay with Toobles for more videos like this. Please like, share and subscribe.